Alright y'all, we here. Now, I actually need y'all help with something before we start with today's video. Y'all know how Kenny Beecham has the "we back," and you know how other people say things at the beginning of their video that they say every single time. Flight with the "what it do, flight crew," you know what I'm saying? People have things that they say at the beginning of their videos. My dog is just autism. I don't have one, so I need y'all to help me come up with one because see, I'm a creative person, but not with that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm creative about things I'm passionate about, but I'm not passionate about coming up with the damn YouTube intro. So I need y'all help with that. Plus, I don't want to come up with something that sounds so dumb, and I'm just saying that for the rest of my damn life on YouTube, however God wants me to do this. Now, help me. Put it in the comments. Let me know what y'all thinking. And I'm going to say this in other videos too, because I know some of y'all don't watch every single video, which is fine. Just, hey, the ones you do watch, if you like them, put the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It don't cost you nothing. It's free, brother. You not doing nothing with your time. It's not a limit to the amount of people you can subscribe and like videos for. Hating. Anyways, all right, so we're moving to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, again, my apologies. Yesterday's video was supposed to be up last Thursday. I'm just dumb and forgot to press publish. I thought I did. I didn't do it. I uploaded it and did all that, put the caption and everything, and I didn't publish it. So, autism. But all of the videos for this week, up until Friday. So today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those 5 videos are all going to be pre-recorded. You're going to see me in this shirt every time. I'm not dirty. I'm not wearing this shirt for 5 straight days. I'm just pre-recording them because I'm going to be busy Wednesday. I'm going to be busy Thursday. I'm going to probably be busy on Friday. So I don't want to not get y'all videos for 3 straight days because it's like, I could make the time, but it's like where I'm going to be, I'm not going to want to make the time to do it. I would feel like self-conscious doing it. I don't like recording videos in front of other people, especially because I'm so new to this. I don't feel like I'm as good at it yet as I want to be. So it's like, yeah, I don't know why I just told y'all the damn insecurity of mine, like I'm a 12-year-old girl. But anyways, like I'm trauma dumping or something. But anyways, so yeah, these videos are going to be pre-recorded. I'm not dirty. Okay, I'm just pre-recording them. All right, if you think I'm dirty, your mama dirty. All right, cool. So, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and what their best realistic outcome is for next season. This is a team that I have and there's a lot of teams that we're going to talk about the next few days that I have mixed feelings about. Like, this is probably one of the 3 or 4, maybe even all 5 of them, teams that I have, like, mixed feelings about, where it's like I could see them doing great and I could see them disappointing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like both cases are extremely realistic. But I feel like this is a team that it would feel blasphemous to not include them as a team that has at the very minimum a conference finals chance for this upcoming season, especially because they're in the East and not the West, and just because they have so much talent with those top 3 guys, and they also have some decent bench players that I'm a fan of, and then I think Jared McCain has a chance to be really good in this league. So it would feel blasphemous not to include them. They have an all-star guard in Tyrese Maxey, new all-star addition in PG, and then you pair those 2 guys with former MVP center Joel Embiid. This is a team that is amazing, but to me still isn't at the top of his conference. And to me, if you had to ask, based off talent, they're probably second, but based off of the way I think things will shake out, they're probably the 3rd best team in the East, and you could make a case for 4th, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think they're realistically the 4th best team, but 3rd best is where I think they are. I'm a fan of Joel Embiid, and I will die on that hill. I will die on the hill that he was on pace to have one of the most dominant MVP seasons ever last year. I'll die on that hill that he is, if not for Jokic, would be easily the best center in the game. Well, not easily because Anthony Davis is good, but you know what I'm saying? Like I believe he is the best scoring center in the league by far. I don't think it's close, and it's like most people that watch basketball will tell you the same thing. The man was literally averaging 35 points. But to me, I don't know, bro. I just don't know. There's something about him. Like, he was literally on pace to have one of the most dominant MVP seasons ever before his injury last year, right? And that's amazing. But I still can't look at him as a top 3 player in the league and I think it's also just because it's mostly because of his lack of playoff success. And it's not like he's one of those guys that's had a lack of playoff success simply because he hasn't had a lot of help. No. Let's not forget that he's had a lot of help. In 2019, he had a team with all NBA version of Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler. Tobias Harris was hooping at the time. That's how he got that contract that ended up being a fleece, and 1-0. 2 years ago, he had James Harden and Tyrese. Now, I get Tyrese Maxey wasn't as good as he is now 2 years ago, but he was still producing. He had James Harden, all-star version of him, and Tyrese Halliburton 2 years ago, 1-0. Lost in a Game 7 to the Celtics in the second round, and let me tell you, they wouldn't have even made it to a Game 7 if James Harden didn't put up 2 phenomenal performances in that series. Like, he put up 2 of his best ever playoff games in that series to get it to a Game 7, and then Embiid was out there doing absolutely nothing for half the series. So, and then I like like this team he has now. Please don't get me wrong. PG, Tyrese Maxey, he's got Kelly Oubre for some depth. He's got damn, they have a backup center that I can't think of right now. But he's got players on his team for depth. He's got Jared McCain. He's got I think Eric Gordon's on the team now. They have some depth, right? Now don't get me. I'm mixing teams up probably because I've already prepared notes and stuff for 5 teams this week, so I might be mixing some roster stuff up. But just bear with me, all right? But I like this team, right? I think this team is very good. I think they did a very good job this offseason with the money they had. I think they did smart things this offseason with the money they had. I'm not mad at any of Philly's offseason moves this year. But I'm not 100% sure that this team can be better than the team he had in 2019, especially not defensively. With the way that Ben Simmons was defensively, with the playmaking Ben Simmons had, with the way that Jimmy Butler was defensively, with the way that we know what Jimmy does, especially in the playoffs. Like, we can't sit here and definitively say that this team is better than the 2019 team. Now, sure, the team with Harden and Tyrese, I'll say this team will probably be better than that team because I think Paul George right now is like, you know what I'm saying? I think he does some things better than what James Harden did at that time, but like they're both aging, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I think he'll also be a little bit less of a headache for like Daryl Morey and for the team to just kind of deal with. But and like I'm saying, this is a very good team. It's probably the second best team, or if not the best team Joel Embiid's ever had in his life. But I have yet to see Embiid have success with very good teams. I didn't see him have success with that Philly team. I saw them lose to Kawhi Leonard, one of the greatest shots of all time, in the second round. Trust me, I'm a Raptors fan. I remember that game vividly. I remember that whole playoff run by the Raptors vividly. I remember that Joel Embiid had some stinkers in that series. Oh, don't that. Now, the Raptors had a very good defensive team, don't get me wrong, but that boy had some stinkers in that series. I saw him lose to Boston in second round last year. We already talked about the stinkers he had in that series. I saw him lose this year versus New York, and sure, he was coming off of an injury and everything, but I still picked him to win because I thought he had enough for them to get over the hump, and he didn't. Like, we can't sit here and pretend like just because the fact that he has a good squad now means that he's automatically going to take them to the conference finals or even the finals, because guess what? He hasn't done that, and he's had very good squads in the past. So I'm simply not as high on this team as I am on a team like Boston or some of the squads out west. Now, you could make the case that, sure, they're the second best team out east, them in New York. I'm not mad if you say that. I'm right there with you. They just might be. But I have higher expectations. Like, the expectations should be higher for this team than they are for New York, not because, like, sure, New York beat them last year and everything else, but New York doesn't have an MVP on their team. New York doesn't have the top-end talent of this team has. Sure, they have more depth. Sure, they have better wing players overall, but they don't have the same top-end talent. They have a more well-rounded roster. This team could very well end up being the 1 seed in the East because we've seen what Joel Embiid can do in the regular season. If he comes out here and he drops a 70-point game on Wemby again, he's averaging 35 points per game and is about to have the most dominant MVP season ever since Shaq, or most dominant center season ever since Shaq. In, like, what was that, 2000 or 2001, where he won, like, every damn major award, or besides, like, DPOY or something like that. Like, that was insane. Like, this team could very well end up being that 1 seed in the East. But even then, can we 100% certainly say going into the playoffs they're the number 1 team, they're the team to beat in the East? I mean, if the Celtics fall off a cliff or some injuries happen or something like that, then sure, maybe you could say that. But as things sit right now with teams fully healthy, even if Philly sits as the 1 seed in the East, I don't know too many NBA fans that are going to be saying, oh, yeah, this team is by far the best team in the East. Like, they could finish with a 10-game gap, and I still wouldn't be 100% confident just because we haven't seen that same success in the playoffs yet. Now, don't get me wrong. People used to say the same thing about Jokic. So I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it happen. I'm the type of person where it's like, if you've consistently shown me over and over again that you don't have the ability to do something, even with a very good team, I'm not just going to randomly start believing that you can do it just because you got a little better. But when even though you were an MVP, you still couldn't get over that hump. You were an MVP that year you lost to Boston. Didn't play like it in the playoffs. It was like it was like the biggest point per game dip from regular season to playoffs that MVP ever had in that season. That's a little bit concerning. He's not 21 years old. Like, this brother's pushing 30. We can't like be like, oh, he's just such a young guy. He's got so much left to accomplish. Like, he's got so much left that he can learn before he gets to that point where we can start really having those expectations. Now, this may sound blasphemous. It may. To some of you, it may sound very, very accurate. But the best case scenario for this team, even after adding Paul George this year, is not a championship for me. Because I have no reason to believe, I have nothing to show me, because it's not like in the Olympics he had a dominant performance every single game. He didn't. So it's not like we can say he came off that injury in the playoffs or whatever, came off that injury in the regular season, played well in the playoffs, and then lost, and then came off that and just played dominantly in the Olympics, so we have nothing to be concerned about. It's not the truth. I have no reason to believe that Joel Embiid can carry his team to the championship. especially with his injuries that lately, like, that are even more worrisome considering the fact he just finished hooping for Team USA. He's coming off some serious injuries last year where he had like the Bell's palsy in his face, he had the knee. He had some serious injuries last year that prevented him from playing up to 100% strength in the playoffs, and then he goes out there and plays for Team USA in the late July and early August that he just finished for. Keep in mind the season starts in what? Month and a half, 2 months? Like, in my opinion, the most realistic best case scenario for the Sixers this year is making it to the conference finals because Joel Embiid has not done that yet. What is he, the only MVP ever to not have made it to the conference finals at least? I think. I'm not 100% confident, but I'm pretty confident because I know D Rose made it to the conference finals, I think against LeBron or something. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure D Rose has done it, so I can't think of another MVP in recent history that hasn't. So how is he, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, if he can at least do that, I feel like there's going to be a lot less pressure on him. Now, there's still going to be pressure because you got to get that ring. We know that ring is above everything else. But a lot of his haters would kind of relax a little bit, I feel like. Now, don't get me wrong. It's very possible, not probable, that Philly could win a ring this year with the talent and depth they have on the squad. But I think it's more realistic to say that Philly will lose in the second round or will lose in the conference finals than it is that they'll lose in the championship or make it to the championship period. I think it's way more realistic to say that, hey, Boston, New York, maybe even Milwaukee, just because we've seen Giannis do it before, can make it to the finals over Philly. I think that's more realistic to say than Philly making it. I think it's more it's not that it's impossible for them to win it. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think it's going to happen. But it's not like it's impossible or it's such a low percentage chance. But the biggest key here for me is realistic. How can I say the most realistic thing for you to do is win a championship when you've had teams to this caliber or near it multiple times in your career and you haven't even made the conference finals and your conference has been just as weak then as it was now? In 2019, LeBron wasn't in that conference. In 2019, KD was hurt. Steph wasn't, like, you know what I'm saying? He would have had to go against Steph in the finals, but that was the finals. He didn't make it there. He didn't have to face Milwaukee in that series because they faced Toronto. Now, sure, he had to face Kawhi Leonard, who was arguably the best player on the planet at that time, but what about against Boston last year? What about against New York? Well, what about against Boston 2 years ago? What about against New York last year? How do you have the biggest point per game drop off from from regular season to postseason as an MVP history, and you think that I'm just going to put you in there and say, oh, best case scenario now that he has a good team again is going to be that he can win the finals? I'm not going to say that because honestly, I could be even more harsh. Genuinely, the only reason I'm not being even more harsh is because I think the East is just so much weaker than the West. But anyways, that's enough yapping. This probably sounds like a video filled with straight hate. I'm a big fan of Jared McCann. I'm actually a big fan of Paul George. I'm even a big fan of Tyrese Maxey. I'm a fan of Joel Embiid, not a big fan because there are some things that he does, like his antics and stuff sometimes just annoy me. But I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of his game most of the time. I want to see them succeed, but I got to be realistic, and I got to tell y'all what I think is going to happen. And if y'all call it hating, y'all call it hating. I'm not there with them yet. I'm not there with the Sixers yet, all right? Today you're going to get this video. Tomorrow you're going to get the Suns video. And then after that, it'll be a few more videos just like this. I got 4 more teams after this one that I'm going to do a video kind of just like this, talking about what their best case scenario is for next season. And then after that, it's going to be some tier list type stuff. And then we're going to start talking about football because it's about to be football season. I don't just do basketball. I do basketball and football. I write about both. I'm about to talk about both. I just know more about basketball, and I love basketball more, but I can talk about both. So I hope you all like this, but I hope you all are excited for that football content to come because I'm excited for football season to be back. Preseason's already started. Caleb Williams looks like he's actually very good at the sport. Yeah, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. And Joel Embiid, I hope you prove me wrong, brother.